Carl Jung believed there is a specific moment in healing that has nothing to do with feeling better. It is the moment you stop tolerating things you used to explain away, and when it arrives, it rarely looks like progress. It looks like distance. The people around you notice it first. They start saying, "You have changed," that you have gotten quieter, harder, colder. Some of them will use that word directly, cold. So here is the question this whole video turns on. Either something in you broke and made you bitter, or something in you finally started working the way it was always supposed to. Those are the only two explanations, and they lead to completely different lives. By the end, you will know which one is happening to you. And you will understand the line Jung's work points toward again and again. You didn't get colder, you got clear. The first sign shows up in the conversations you used to have on repeat. For years you had a setting inside you that absorbed things. Someone crossed a line, and you found their excuse before they finished the sentence. Chaos arrived, and your body called it normal because it always had been. That absorbing setting is what I call the tolerance reset, the point where your nervous system stops overriding what it used to swallow. Jung described the strange progress that waits on the other side of it, progress that comes, in his words, by keeping quiet, repressing nothing, remaining attentive, and by accepting reality, taking things as they are, and not as I wanted them to be. And it hands you a paradox. Call it the intolerance paradox. The more whole you become, the less you can stomach what is fragmented, including in people you love. Your rising intolerance is the healing itself, speaking in the only language the body has. It moves through 7 specific signs, and the first one is already waiting in the conversations you keep having on repeat. You used to narrate your reasons. Someone raised an eyebrow, and you produced a paragraph. You believed that if you could just explain it well enough, carefully enough, they would finally get it, and the discomfort would resolve. That reflex can look like politeness from the outside. Underneath, it runs as a self-justification loop, a leftover survival strategy from an environment where being misunderstood was genuinely dangerous, where a person who did not accept your explanation could take something from you. Your body learned to pay any price to avoid that, and the price was always the same. You. This reflex was built early. A child in an unpredictable home learns fast. If love arrived with conditions, you learned to read the conditions before anyone spoke them and to explain yourself ahead of the accusation. Jung called the self you assembled for that room, the persona, in his words, a compromise between the individual and society as to what a man should appear to be. A mask built to manage other people's impressions of you. The over-explaining was that mask doing its job. It kept you safe once. It is simply charging rent you can no longer afford to pay. What changes in healing is that the loop stops firing. You say the thing once, then you let the silence sit there, unfilled, and you do not rush to smooth it over. This can feel almost rude the first few times, because you were trained to treat another person's confusion as your emergency to solve. Jung saw the hidden cost of the old reflex clearly. In a letter written in November of 1915, he warned that understanding itself can become, in his phrase, a fearfully binding power, at times a veritable murder of the soul, as soon as it flattens out vitally important differences. Read that again. The endless explaining was never really connection. It was you sanding down your own edges so someone else would not have to feel the difference between you. You were doing their emotional labor for them, translating yourself into a version they could accept without effort, and calling the exhaustion of it love. When you stop, the edges come back. You will feel the urge to reach for the old paragraph, and you will watch yourself not reach for it, and the silence that follows will feel enormous. Let it sit there. What sounds to them like you getting difficult is the sound of you becoming distinct, a person with a shape they can no longer talk you out of. Chaos that used to feel normal now feels physically uncomfortable. This one doesn't arrive as a thought. It arrives in your body. You walk into a room where the tension is thick, the kind of household or workplace atmosphere you spent years navigating on autopilot, and now your chest tightens, your stomach turns. You feel it before you can name it. For a long time you mistook that calm under chaos for strength. People even praised you for it. You were the steady one, the one who could keep a level head while everything around you came apart. But it was not strength. It was a nervous system that had never been given the chance to register the chaos as abnormal, so it filed the alarm under ordinary and moved on. Healing takes that override away. The alarm comes back online, and suddenly you cannot sit in a room you used to survive in for hours. Jung understood that what we refuse to feel consciously does not disappear. It relocates into the body. The gods have become diseases, he wrote in his alchemical studies. Zeus no longer rules Olympus, but rather the solar plexus. What he meant is that the forces we will not face consciously go underground and rule us through symptoms, through the gut, through the tightness. You now feel the second you cross a chaotic threshold. For years, your body kept the score in silence, while your mind insisted everything was fine. Now the two have finally started telling the same story. Your body is finally allowed to report what it always knew. If that landed, here is what to do with it. Comment, "I feel it in my body before I feel it in my mind." Then keep going, because the next one is the one people find hardest to admit. A relationship that used to feel exciting now feels exhausting, and nothing about the other person changed. This is the sign that breaks the story you were told about healing. You expected getting better to feel like more love, more openness, more warmth flowing outward. Instead, you find yourself drained by someone who used to light you up, and the confusing part is that they did nothing wrong. They are exactly who they always were. That is the point. You were not drawn to the person. You were drawn to a pattern you were carrying, and you were seeing that pattern reflected back at you. Jung described the return of everything we had projected outward, the moment the psyche stops sending its material out into other people and takes it back inside. In his late work, he used a stark image for it. To do this inner work, he wrote, is to celebrate a Last Supper with himself and eat his own flesh and drink his own blood. Brutal language for a simple event. The energy you were feeding into that relationship was your own, projected out and coming home. So the exhaustion is your projections dissolving. When they dissolve, the person in front of you gets smaller and truer, and sometimes what is left is not enough to hold the connection you thought you had. That is a grief, and it deserves to be grieved rather than rushed past. And underneath the grief, something honest is happening. You are finally seeing a person instead of a projection, which is the only ground real closeness was ever going to grow in. The relationships that survive this stage are the ones that were always more than a mirror. The ones that end were ending long before you noticed. You stop rescuing people from consequences they created for themselves. Here is the middle of the list, and it is the one most likely to make you uncomfortable, because it touches the identity a lot of us were most proud of. The fixer, the one who steps in, the person who could not watch someone they cared about fall, and so caught them every time at their own expense. And then one day, you do not step in. Someone you love walks toward the wall they built, brick by brick, over months, and you feel the old pull to intercept, to soften it, to make some call or offer some money or say the thing that smooths it over one more time, and you simply do not. You let the consequence land where it was always going to land. What replaces the guilt is the part nobody warns you about. Relief, a quiet, almost shameful relief. You brace for the guilt to arrive and crush you the way it always has, and it does not come. And that absence is so unfamiliar, it is almost disorienting. That silence where the guilt used to be is one of the clearest signals that something in you has genuinely shifted. Jung put the warning in stark terms in the Red Book. "Do not run after men," he wrote, "so that you do not soil the dignity of humanity." And then the line that should stop you cold. "Whoever wants to be the soul's shepherd treats people like sheep. He violates human dignity." Sit with how sharp that is. The rescuer, the helper, the one who cannot let anyone struggle, is in Jung's reading committing a quiet insult. Your compulsive rescuing was never as loving as it felt. Underneath it was a verdict you never said out loud, that the other person could not survive their own life without you managing it. Stepping back is the first time you have treated them as a full adult who is allowed to meet their own consequences, learn from them, and become someone because of them. That is respect wearing an unfamiliar face, and it is why the guilt never comes. Silence stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like peace. There was a time when a quiet house was a threat, an unanswered text, an empty evening, a room with no voices in it, and something in you started to spiral. Silence meant you had been left. It meant something was wrong, so you filled it. Noise, people, your phone, anything to keep the quiet from closing in. Then slowly, the silence stops accusing you. You come home to an empty room and your shoulders drop instead of climbing. The quiet that used to feel like a verdict starts to feel like a place you actually want to be. Jung knew both faces of solitude. In the Red Book, he was honest about the terror of it, the fear of the solitary that drives us into crowds and noise and other people's opinions. But he also understood that the person who cannot be alone has handed the steering wheel of their inner life to whoever happens to be in the room. If you always need someone there, then your sense of self is only ever on loan, borrowed from whoever you're with and returned the moment they leave. Learning to sit in the quiet without panic is you reclaiming a self you were once too afraid to be alone with, and discovering that the company was never the thing keeping you safe. If silence stopped feeling lonely for you and started feeling like relief, say so. Comment if that shift is one you have lived. Then stay with me, because the next sign is where perception itself starts to change. You notice manipulation in real time instead of realizing it weeks later. You used to replay conversations in the shower 3 days later and finally feel the wrongness of them. The guilt trip you did not catch. The flattery that was actually a setup. The comment that landed like concern and functioned like control. You always saw it eventually. The problem was the delay. Now the delay is gone. You feel the pull in the moment it happens. A small internal flag that goes up while the other person is still mid-sentence. This has nothing to do with becoming paranoid or bitter. It is a direct function of integration. Manipulation works by finding the parts of you that you refuse to look at and hiding inside them. When you stop hiding parts of yourself from yourself, those blind spots close, and there is nowhere left for the manipulation to sit undetected. Jung explained why in his work on the archetypes. He described the honest mirror we spend our lives avoiding. "The mirror does not flatter," he wrote. "It faithfully shows whatever looks into it, namely, the face we never show to the world because we cover it with the persona. The reason you missed manipulation for so long is that you had never looked squarely at your own capacity for it. your own small masks, your own moments of managing people. Once you have looked at your own hidden face, you recognize the mask on other people instantly, because you finally know what a mask looks like from the inside. Your radar simply got accurate, and accuracy is uncomfortable at first, because it stops letting you unsee what is right in front of you. People who benefited from the old version of you start calling you different. Notice who is uncomfortable. It is almost never a stranger. It is the people whose lives ran smoothly because of what you used to tolerate. The friend who always got the favor. The relative whose moods you always managed. The partner who never had to change because you always adjusted first. To them, your growth reads as loss, as coldness, as you becoming someone they no longer recognize. Here is the mechanism underneath it, and it earns its own name because you will meet it constantly over the coming months. Call it load-bearing compliance. Your agreeableness, your flexibility, your talent for never making anyone uncomfortable, all of it was quietly holding up other people's lives as much as your own. The friend who always got to vent and never had to listen. The relative whose version of events you never contested. The partner who never had to grow because you kept adjusting the space around them. Your compliance was structural. It was carrying weight. So when you set it down, their world tilts, and a tilting world registers as an attack. This is why the gentlest boundary you have ever drawn can trigger a reaction wildly out of scale to what you actually did. From the outside, it can look like you struck at someone. What really happened is quieter. You withdrew a service they had long mistaken for love. Jung understood that we rarely respond to people as they actually are. We respond to what they do to our own inner balance, and the calmer you become, the more your presence exposes the parts of others they were counting on you to keep managing for them. Jung located the root of this in the family itself. In his work on the development of personality, he wrote that nothing influences children more strongly than the unlived life of the parent. We inherit the roles other people never had the courage to break, and we play them faithfully, sometimes for decades, without ever choosing them. The peacemaker, the strong one, the one who never needs anything. When you set the role down, you are refusing to keep carrying an inheritance that was never yours to carry, and the people who were comfortable with you inside that role will feel the ground move. They will call it betrayal, or a phase, or you thinking you are better than everyone now. What they are describing is you finally living a life that belongs to you, instead of finishing one that belonged to someone else. Step back from the individual signs, and the whole shift moves through 3 stages. Name them, and you can locate yourself on the map. The first stage is disruption. This is where your old tolerances simply stop working. You cannot unfeel the tightness in your chest, cannot re-swallow what you now taste. It is disorienting, because the coping strategies that kept you functional for years suddenly fail, all at once, with nothing yet in their place. You feel it in small, unremarkable moments. A message arrives that you would once have answered inside a minute, and you watch it sit there, and the old urgency to reply does not come. Someone tells a version of a story about you that is not quite true, and the reflex to correct the record flickers and quietly goes out. Nobody around you would even notice, but each one is the old mask, loosening a single fiber at a time. The second stage is discernment. Here you gain the ability to name what you are reacting to. The vague unease resolves into a specific sentence. This is a boundary violation. This is a projection. This is manipulation. Jung's caution matters at this stage. Clear thinking on its own will not save you. Reason can only give one equilibrium. he wrote in his work on psychological types. If one's reason is already an equilibrating organ. Naming things is only stabilizing once the self underneath has steadied. A sharp mind, sitting on top of an unsteady self, just becomes a sharper way to stay upset. Better at diagnosing everyone and no karma for it. The third stage is sovereignty. This is where you act on what you now see, without guilt collected as a tax on every decision. You say no, and the world does not end. You leave the room and the sky holds. Jung called this fully realized self the goal of a life. It is, in his words, the completest expression of that fateful combination we call individuality. This is the fullest version of you there has ever been, and to the people who preferred the smaller one, fullness and coldness can look identical from the outside. Now the necessary warning, because everything I have described can curdle. The phrase, "I don't tolerate that anymore," is true and freeing, and it is also one syllable away from contempt. There is a counterfeit version of this whole process, and I want to name it so you can catch it in yourself. Call it the righteous withdrawal. It looks identical to healthy boundaries from the outside. Inside, it is something colder, using your growth as a weapon and calling the weapon peace. Watch for 3 specific tells. The first is a feeling. If cutting someone off gives you a hit of superiority, a small, warm sense of standing above them, your ego is feeding, and it has learned to wear your healing as a costume. Real peace is quiet. It does not glow with the pleasure of being right. The second is a function. Ask what your distance is actually doing out in the world. A healthy boundary protects your peace and asks nothing of the other person, and it works whether or not they ever notice it. A punishment is engineered to be felt, timed, and shaped to make someone hurt. If part of you is quietly hoping they notice how absent you have become, you have drifted from protection into penalty. The third is a pattern. When every conflict in your life keeps resolving into the same tidy conclusion, that the other person is dysfunctional and you are the healthy one, look at the one element present in all of those stories. It is you. Genuine discernment implicates you sometimes, catches you in the wrong, costs you something. Contempt never does, which is exactly how you can tell them apart. Real sovereignty has no need to prove itself. It does not keep score. The moment your boundaries start needing an audience, they have stopped being about your healing. So run it all back quickly and hear what each of these signs has actually been telling you. Your silence isn't rudeness. It's a self that no longer treats every misunderstanding as an emergency. Your discomfort in chaos isn't weakness. It's a nervous system finally reporting the truth. Your exhaustion in that relationship isn't the loss of love. It's your projections coming home. Your refusal to rescue isn't cruelty. It's respect for another person's dignity. Your peace in solitude isn't isolation. It's a self you're no longer afraid to sit with. Your instant read on manipulation isn't paranoia. It's a mirror you finally dared to look into. And the people calling you different aren't describing damage. They're describing the end of a service they got used to. Every one of these was filed, for years, under something wrong with you. Every one of them is evidence of something working. You didn't get colder. You got clear. Let that land for a second before you do anything with it. This is the ground you have been walking toward, and it is worth standing on quietly for a moment before you move. Now I want to hear from you. Of the 7 signs, one of them landed harder than the rest. You felt it in your chest as I said it. Tell me which one. Comment the number, just the number, so you can see how many people are standing exactly where you are right now. And notice before you scroll whether part of you wants to argue with the sign that hit hardest. That resistance is usually pointing at the one that is truest for you right now. The mind defends the tolerance it is least ready to give up. There is more of this coming. Jung believed the traits the world punishes you for are often the ones it was least prepared to receive. In an upcoming video, we go deep into the shadow, the part of yourself you were taught to hide, and why integrating it is the real work underneath everything you felt today. And some nights the screen is the wrong place for this. If you'd rather just listen, Surreal Mind is on Spotify now. The words, in the dark, wherever you are. Links in the description. Thank you for watching. See you in the next dimension.